right. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fantasy Buds podcast.
Bro, I'm sorry. You're... You gotta understand. I look over and all I see is Chris just go. Well, we got our opening.
Yeah.
There you go.
Welcome to the Fantasy Buds podcast. It is September 20th, 2022, episode 7, and we are now done week 2, heading into week 3 of the fantasy football season. And let me just say, after losing all my leagues last week, just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in. 5-0 on the week. So that's what I'm talking about. How about you boys?
3-2.
That's fine.
Yeah, one of those twos was
Here we go.
by
One
a
of
pretty
those-
significant margin, I must say.
So
I went so to be honest, I honestly went in my main leagues. I went 2-2 this week. But in the leagues that really matter to me, to be honest, I went 1-3 to tell you the truth. Cause Tim and I were matched up this week in our main money league that we do. And we had a pretty tight matchup here.
Oh, it was tight.
Yeah, it
It was tight.
Of a score of 198 to 119.
it's quite a game of the century.
Let's just
might
say
add.
that Lamar Jackson is trying to get paid.
That
Dude,
man is on a mission.
He is trying to get paid. To be honest, if I was Lamar, I'd be kind of insulted that they kind of don't want to pay him. It seems like,
I would be too.
I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
like they're not really setting him up to succeed very well. Like they just traded away his number 1 receiver. I get it. Like Rashad Bateman is good, but I mean, and like Mark Andrews is good, obviously, but
Lamar Jackson is the best player on the Baltimore Ravens.
yeah, easily. And
Yeah,
I
easily.
Plain and simple.
I feel like the receiving core as a whole is underwhelming. I think Lamar actually makes receivers look good. Like, I mean, he has a good arm. Like, I think he's overhated, to tell you the truth.
Look, some guys
like-
they get dubbed a certain way when they come into the league, and then they don't shake it. Like Matt Stafford, for the first few years of his career, he was injury prone, and everybody called him injury prone.
Yeah.
And then what did he do? He went on to start for like over 100 straight games. Like he didn't miss a game for like 8 straight years.
He's an Iron Man now.
He's an Iron
Matt
Man now.
Stafford.
But he was dubbed as injury prone. So
Yeah.
you're considered something until you're not.
Keenan
So-
Allen was kind of like that, too. Remember earlier in his career, he dealt with all kinds of crazy injuries.
And now he's been
Yeah.
fine. The rest
Now
of
he's
his
been
career.
fine. I mean, obviously this year he's dealing with something, but he is older now. But still, like for a while, he was fucking Iron Man.
Like look at Josh Allen. They used to say he couldn't hit the side of a barn, and now people talk about him as an MVP. So you're considered something until you're not. That's just it. So Lamar Jackson, until like he starts throwing his team and winning deep into the playoffs, maybe winning a Super Bowl or another MVP, people are going to start shutting up about him. But I think the man deserves his money. I wish I had him this year. I had him as last year for his down year, of course, but
To be honest, I wanted Jalen Hurts, but I knew I wasn't going to get him.
called it. I called that shit on
Yeah.
him. He is going to be the fantasy MVP. I am sticking with my guns.
I mean, 40
That
points
is my
this week.
fucking guy. He is electric as a
Yep.
runner, and he is improved massively as a passer. Like,
Tremendously. He's
not
improved.
throwing a lot of touchdowns. I get that, but I think they will come. He's throwing 300 yards. Like that's not anything to sneeze at.
That wasn't anything he did last year.
That wasn't anything he did
He
last
wasn't
year.
doing that last
So
year.
he's shown improvement. He has weapons.
Yep.
He's got the offensive line. The coaching looks brilliant right now.
Yeah, even Jonathan Gannon, who I've questioned personally a lot, our defense was very good last night.
Yep.
I will say, though, to take a little bit away from the Eagles' defense, it was Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Yeah, on Monday night. We should have known Kirk would blow it on
So,
Monday night.
I don't want to measure their season-long defense over a primetime game against Kirk because you can mark that up for a few interceptions.
But, I mean, Darius Slay against Justin Jefferson.
Locked
his
ass
up.
down. 12 targets, and he held him to 6 receptions and 2 interceptions.
I saw this stat where it was Darius Slay caught more passes matched up with Justin Jefferson than Justin Jefferson did.
Yep.
2
And
picks. They just kept going to him, and Slay wouldn't have it.
I'm not entirely sure what was going through Kirk Cousins' head when, if you remember the second interception, the same exact play both times. First time, it was an incomplete pass. And then the second time, they ran the same exact route to Jefferson, the same exact play, thinking Darius Slay just somehow wouldn't read the play again. Like,
Kirk Cousins
just, yeah.
yeah. Plus the first interception, I don't know who the hell he was throwing to on that. Like, there was nobody. Nobody was there. Nobody was in the vicinity of the ball. Like,
look, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get your numbers by the end of the year.
yep.
And you're not going to win big games.
Nope.
That's it. So, to talk about my fantasy matchup this week, I played our good friend Dean in the 14-team league, and I dropped a solid 201 points on him, and that is revenge for years and years of futility. My record against him is 1-5, so this is well needed, well deserved. I waited a long time for this. Dean, you got yours this week.
Your whole team went off.
I
In
got.
that league.
I'm
In
loving
a
my
14 team lead to drop 200 is kind of crazy.
I'm projected to win the league again.
Well, projections
I
don't
know.
mean shit.
I was
It's-
projected to finish last
unfortunately.
in my dad's league, and granted, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen are carrying me right now, but
But that's
I
kind
am
of
2-0.
what
Yeah.
you draft them to do.
It's a
So,
6.
To be
Well,
honest.
Well,
yes,
Cooper
TDs
Kupp,
are worth 6.
he's still Cooper Kupp. Like
Cooper
you,
Kupp's still that guy.
automatic. Put him in, leave him in your lineup. Don't even fucking think about it.
14 targets.
Don't even worry.
15 targets.
Even when he
game.
has 0 targets or 0 catches through like a couple quarters, even 3 quarters, they'll just start targeting him. He'll just catch like 7 balls in a row.
they'll
and-
get
and-
to a point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like they'll just hyper target him.
And Jalen Waddle on fire. The Dolphins offense. Like, let's talk about that for a second.
I was surprised.
I was
I'm not gonna lie.
very surprised.
I was surprised.
Because they were down 35-14 at the beginning of the fourth quarter and then rattled off 4 passing touchdowns. Tua,
Tua looked good.
is he him?
No.
I'm
No.
not ready to totally buy into him yet, but I think he looked really good.
If you watch a lot of the passes, he underthrew it to Tyreek Hill a few times, and Tyreek Hill bailed him out. And then the ones with Jalen Waddle, now he did just put those right on the dime. The ones that he threw to Jalen Waddle, he did put on a dime. But
Look, you don't throw 6 touchdowns by accident.
true.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think Tua looked good. If he comes out and does this again, and
Exactly.
Tyreek and Jalen Waddle keep eating like all year. Yeah,
And I think
Tua's
they
good.
will. Because these are 2 of the fastest players in the NFL.
Yeah.
Both on the same team.
And it's like Tyreek. We were kind of fading him on this show too. I think we've learned our lesson to stop fading stud receivers who go to new teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Devontae Adams is still Devontae
He's
Adams. Tyreek Hill's
Kind of
still Tyreek
underwhelming
Hill.
this week, Devontae Adams, but you know it is what it is. You're still going from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr, but he's still that guy. You know, Tyreek Hill is still that guy.
Yep.
You know, like they're just gonna get it done. I mean, like Tyreek Hill spoke very highly of Tua in the offseason, and it
Yeah.
seems like it's
He's
coming to fruition right now. I mean, that was a vintage Tyreek Hill game. Like he almost had 200 yards. Like,
and it was like Pat Mahomes was throwing on the ball.
yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't look any different.
Yeah, literally like nothing. He's still that guy. If you drafted him in like the 3rd round, you got to fucking steal with
Yeah.
that.
Because he is going to have his weeks where it's like
It's dog weeks.
he just has like 10 points, 12 points or something like that. But then he does things like this where he just wins a week
For you.
by himself for you with, what do you have, 56? 51, something like that? I don't know.
I think he had 51.
I think Diggs had
Diggs had 50
Yeah.
as well.
in our league with the bonuses.
Diggs Diggs too. If you drafted Diggs in the first round, you're getting your money's worth. He's better than Jamar Chase. You kind of
He's been better than Jefferson.
He's been better than all of them. He's
you
the
kinda-
wide receiver 1 right now, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
I was very surprised when you told me, Brian, you had Stephon Diggs ahead of Jamar Chase in your rankings, but it's coming to life right now. I mean,
Well,
he's been better than Jamar Chase so far
I just
this
felt
year.
like with the Bengals offense versus the Bills defense, the Bills don't really have a T. Higgins. Like I view T. Higgins as a 1B
Right.
in Cincinnati, with to Jamar Chase as the 1A. Jamar Chase kind of has his role as like a big play guy, downfield. Higgins more of a possession, maybe red zone. So I just felt with the Bills, Stephon Diggs is going to be Josh Allen's number 1 target. Like I said, chemistry is so important in fantasy. I felt with how good that offense is going to be, being the number 1 target, getting the volume he's going to get, there's no way he has a good chance as anyone to finish as wide receiver 1, and it's coming true right now.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about him as a high first-round pick probably next year. I
He
mean,
could be going ahead of Cooper Kupp and Jefferson next year and Chase.
but I will say Cooper Kupp is that dude.
He is that
Yeah.
dude. He's always been that dude.
Though he's just consistency. Like him and Matt Stafford are just on the same page all the time.
Doesn't matter who the matchup is. Doesn't matter how much they're up by, how much they're down by, how much. Doesn't matter. They are going to get it done
Yep.
like they always have.
He's been better than Justin Jefferson so far. You know, Justin Jefferson will be fine.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to be honest, Darius Slay might be the best corner in the league, to be honest. Like, I mean, he locks down every receiver he plays against.
Are we being biased?
Not really.
That's biased.
Jalen Ramsey just got destroyed by Stephon Diggs in week 1.
Well, who do we think the best corner is?
Probably Jalen Ramsey. You said.
I mean,
he
well,
just
like who
got-
would you guys consider?
I mean, like
I
you
don't
could
really
say,
think Jalen Ramsey is.
You could say Jair Alexander, who just got cooked by Justin Jefferson.
I would say there's 4.
in week 1, and Darius Slay just locked up Justin
I guess we could
Jefferson.
say through 2 weeks so far this year, Darius Slay is probably playing like the best corner.
Through the first 2 games, yeah,
The
I'd
first 2
certainly
games.
say
He
so.
certainly played like it last night.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were at the game.
Yeah.
Young man. How you feeling this morning?
Probably feeling nice.
Feeling nice?
Shout out to Dean, but why did you do this to me? Good Lord.
Hey, Dean knows what's up.
He does.
Dean knows how to
No,
get
it was a
done.
lot of
Does.
fun. That building was, it really was like a lot of fun.
He needed that last night because I pulverized him.
Yeah.
So
No, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but-
Tim needed that too.
Yeah,
I needed
I
that
already
too.
knew it was.
I'm sorry.
I knew when I was at work and I looked up at the TV and saw Lamar Jackson rip off a fucking 80-yard
Oh, dude, I
rushing
couldn't
touchdown.
believe
It was
that.
over. I knew right then. 20 points in one play. Like,
I was joking about it too. I was just like, Lamar needs an 80-yard rushing touchdown. He got it, 79-yard rush. I could not believe when that happened. Lamar
saw
I
he
couldn't
had
believe it though.
once I
Actually.
saw he had 61 in our league, I was like, yeah, I'm not.
He's
I'm
never
not
had-
coming back from this.
He's never had that many points before. With the bonuses, dude, he had 60 points. That's crazy.
I squeaked out a win against Christian.
The
Like,
Christian blew it,
This
dude.
was ugly. So
Ugly,
last night,
gritty, grindy win.
this was like a mud bowl fucking 13-10 game kind of thing. I only scored 106 and he scored 97. So last night, just
Just a shift fest.
and this is a league where we have 2 flexes and it's 10 teams. So this is ugly as it gets. And I was up by 32 with just a kicker who got me a breadstick. And he had Derrick Henry, Robert Woods, and Adam Thielen. And I was able to fucking hold on somehow. Derrick Henry and Woods got benched at the end of the third because the Bills smacked the fuck out of the Titans. Like, so bad that they just threw in the towel that early. And then Adam Thielen just did nothing.
Henry
He's kinda
has been
washed.
very disappointing
He's been very
through
disappointing.
2 weeks so far.
How worried are you guys for Henry?
I'm a little bit worried.
Is it time to panic yet? It is only week 2. You know, Henry is 28, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 28, 27, this is the age. I mean, look at Zeke, too. Like, this is the age where running
falling.
backs,
I faded Zeke too. Like,
they start to slow down a
Yeah.
little bit.
you can see it happen right before your eyes.
Yeah, and,
Yep.
you know, Derrick Henry still looks like he's got juice. But
I think the problem is the Titans' offense might be that bad.
that too.
I think that's what it is. It's
They
a
have-
culmination of him kind of starting to slow down. Like, it's not like, oh, God, we need to panic. Like, slow down.
I think he's
but
a buy
with-
low candidate.
Yeah. And then with the offense being as bad as it is, for me, fantasy-wise, if you have Derrick Henry, I am panicking a little bit.
As your RB1, yeah, but
if you could
if
buy him
people
low,
are so down on him right now and are panicking, you can maybe somehow steal him as your RB2.
which would be
If you could somehow get that done.
which
you would probably
yeah.
require to give up your first running back, who would you guys give up to get Derrick Henry as a running back if you had?
To be honest,
Would you give up Aaron Jones for Derrick Henry?
Personally,
No.
I wouldn't know.
I don't think I would. I think Aaron Jones is just because the offense is way better. I think his upside is higher. 'cause
Not
of
only that, I think that now with last game where they kind of stopped A.J. Dillon a lot, but Aaron Jones
he
just
looked
snapped.
phenomenal. Yeah, I mean,
think
he's
now it's going to be this is what's going to happen all this year where you're going to have this is why I always hate having running backs like on the same team, and I tend to stay away fantasy wise from running backs that like split or whatever, because now you're going to have your game where I guarantee you next game A.J. Dillon's going to be the one who does more stuff because they're going to make it a parrot to get A.J. Dillon back in
I
the
think
fold.
I think it's
and
going to be
it's just going to be
they're going to be splitting, swapping
exactly
off.
that's what it's going to be. But I definitely know I would not trade Aaron Jones just for the receiving value. I mean, even if A.J. Dillon gets all the carries, Aaron Jones had, I think, 10 points last week, or not this week, week 1, just off of receptions and yards, I think. So I can't really, you're going to get more receptions with Aaron Jones than you're going to get with Derrick Henry. But going back with
Oh,
Derrick Henry, the other thing we got to realize is last year he was averaging like 35 to like almost 40 carries a game. He has yet to break 30 carries, period, this year.
yeah, he hasn't
And-
even broke it. He had
They're not winning enough to do that.
But the other
No,
thing is,
but-
too, you got to remember he would break off long touchdowns.
yeah,
That's where he would get a lot
and
of
he
his
hasn't
points,
really
too.
done that.
So you never know because any of those, I think week 1 was his most carries. He had 27.
he had 21.
That's another
in week 1.
21. So that's another like 12 to 13 carries that he's missing out on.
Mhm.
One of those 13 carries could have been that 50-yard touchdown, that 25-yard touchdown. Second that happens, he's instantly like 20 points. He's not back at where he was, but he's putting up better numbers. So it's really is, it depends on the value that you can get. I don't really think you're going to be able to get more than what Derrick Henry is worth in return right now.
I got a couple more. Would you give up Nick Chubb for Derrick Henry?
Absolutely.
You would.
Absolutely would, because Nick Chubb is a top 5 talent NFL-wise. Fantasy-wise, he's going to do, this is what he does every year. He'll have a point where it's 5 games, or have a 5-point game, 6-point game, 8-point game, 40. 3, 6, 8, 50. 15,
Nick Chubb
0,
is-
5. He'll be hurt and miss 2 games.
Chubb is
Then he'll come back.
Chubb is
That's
honestly
why it's like,
a little bit touchdown dependent, to be honest, because he really doesn't catch any passes. They
Mhm.
seem like they kind of reserve Kareem Hunt for that role. I mean, he did
Yeah.
have 3 catches this week, but that's not common for him. And this week, he only had 17 attempts on the ground, but he ended up with 3 TDs. So I can kind of see where Tim's coming from here.
and I was a huge Nick Chubb advocate this year. I really was, but it's just,
Like week 1, Nick Chubb had 22 carries, Derrick Henry had 21. Difference is Nick Chubb had 141 yards, Derrick Henry had 81 yards. But Nick Chubb is that good to where he's going to turn 22 touches into that many yards
Yeah.
sometimes. That's not going to happen all the time. Nobody
Yeah,
can do that.
exactly.
You know, so
I think you have to look at, it's a question mark of, okay, can Derrick Henry get back to where he was? If he gets back to where he was, it's not even a question. Like, you shouldn't be trading him, period, for anybody unless you're getting like 2 top-notch players at 2 different positions. Nick Chubb really is. He does this every year. It's the same old song and dance. It's, oh my God, he had 40 points. This is going to be the year where he's going to be fantastic. And then, oh, look at that. He's got 20 carries for 30 yards. Like, you can't, because Kareem Hunt's a huge factor, and who knows what's going on with the Browns.
I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
And one more. Would you give up Dalvin Cook for Derrick Henry?
that's spicy, that one.
Silence.
Oh, man.
That's a tough one.
I can hear the thinking.
That's a tough one.
I'm giving up Dalvin Cook to get Derrick Henry?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would.
I don't think I would either.
I think I would hold out for. I think because only because
Receptions.
the,
Yep.
That and the Vikings offense is a lot better than the
I
Titans.
agree with that as well. And yeah, I'm not gonna keep talking about Derrick Henry. I think we got our answers about him.
Another running back I would like to talk about, DeAndre Swift on a snap count this week. I mean, like, I understand, you know, he only had 2 catches and 1 was for a touchdown, but he did have 5 targets and he had 56 yards rushing. He had 5 carries. He was playing on a snap count and like he still had 16 points in PPR. Like, this guy is really good, man. Like this dude is like, he just turned 7 touches into fucking 80, 90 yards of offense and a touchdown. Like, he does not need, he's as efficient as they come. He's Diet Austin Eckler. Like, this is why he's fucking like, he might be better than Austin Eckler at this point. Like,
this year so far,
this year, I mean, Eckler's losing goal line touches.
Which I don't fucking understand. Like, why do these coaches got to get fucking cute?
Yeah.
You're giving Sony Michel goal line carries?
It's the same fucking thing with
Like,
Denver.
why?
It's the same thing with Denver.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
still
Denver.
pissed off at. I don't even want to.
Denver looks bad.
Fuck Nathaniel Hackett. You come in and replace Vic Fangio,
Who stunk
himself, and you stink even more than that.
How is Javonte Williams not getting...
Now, he did get better volume last week. He had 15 touches this time.
He did get the volume
16
that we wanted.
Still, he had 16 total touches. He should be in the low 20s, to be honest. Like,
He should be getting 20
He
to
had
25.
19 total opportunities. He had 4 targets. He had 1 reception for 10 yards. And then he had 15
you know what? Because you
carries.
turn around and you give it to fucking Melvin Gordon. This is what happens.
who's old.
Like how do you get that embarrassed? Like, at home, like, even though they won, that was an embarrassing win.
Melvin Gordon,
that makes
Melvin Gordon is fine. He's a fine running back. He's not Chargers Melvin Gordon anymore.
like
No,
just give
he's
it
not.
up.
Like, just
Give it the fuck up.
give your young running back with juice. Like, you watch Javonte Williams play, he's got juice. Like, you just some running backs, you just see it. Like, you watch them and you're like, I know we just, but I mean, like DeAndre Swift, you know, like Saquon Barkley,
Juice.
you know, like fucking
McCaffrey
you
looked
know.
like his old self again.
yeah, like I'm a Christian McCaffrey. Like, you just watch
broke
these
off
guys.
a nice run, too,
I
last
thought he was
game.
gonna score.
So
Even
did
Nick
I. I
Chubb.
thought he was gone.
No, Nick, like some running backs, you watch them and they just look like you could just tell
So
like,
good.
this guy is so much better than the other running backs. Like, it's clear, like he is a clear tier above the other talent. These guys just get it done, you know. Yeah, I mean, you just have to give these guys more touches. I feel like, I mean, I get it. Maybe you're trying to preserve him for down the line, but I mean, it's a long season, but he's a young player.
It's football.
With no
Like, if
injury
you're-
history so far.
Yeah.
No notable ones anyway.
Yep.
If you're that worried about injuries, like, you shouldn't be involved with football. 'Cause
Like, yeah.
injuries are gonna happen. They're just a part of sports. Like, it's unfortunate, but they just happen. But until they do, use your best players to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, even Christian McCaffrey only had 19 touches.
Like, what the
You
fuck?
know,
like,
like-
he should be, like, in that game where it's as close as it is and the offense is as stagnant as it is, give it to your best player.
Yeah, and
Something will fucking happen. Like Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. And you're just fucking rolling out with Baker Mayfield.
guess what, dude? The Panthers are 0-2.
It's like
as
you give
well.
one carry to Christian McCaffrey, it goes for 10 yards. Then you go pass, punt. Like, fuck you.
That's what I don't understand with the Giants were doing that a lot this week
Yeah.
too with Saquon.
It was just a piss contest.
Saquon still ended up with a lot of touches. He did have 24 total touches. Not the best game for him. He still had 11 points. You'll take it. You know, it's just good to
Buy
see
low.
him doing well.
Yeah.
To be honest. Like, and he's still 2 weeks in a row with double-digit points. He's not going to get 38, 40 every week. You know, the Giants just aren't good enough for that. They are 2-0. You have to give them credit. They are 2-0, but
They're
I still
playing
don't,
two horrible offenses.
I still don't think Daniel Jones is good. Like, yeah.
The Giants? Panthers and Titans.
The
Two
Panthers
horrible
are a bad offense.
Panthers are a bad offense.
Well, no, yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
I'm still a little hungover, like from last night. So technically speaking,
I
I don't know
figured.
why my brain just said, "Didn't the Lions play Detroit when they never played Detroit?" That's why I made that look at you.
The
Lions can't play
against,
Detroit.
Yeah, they can't play
Point
against
proven.
themselves.
The Giants. That's my point.
The Lions
Golly.
played the
Dean
Commanders.
did this to me. Dean so did this to
Thank
me.
you, Dean.
Oh, my God.
The Lions played the Commanders this week. The Lions looked really good.
You know who else looked fucking good? Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. The
If
sun
you
god.
if you listen to our story and started Amon-Ra this week,
He's got
12
man.
targets, 9 receptions, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then he had 2 rushing attempts for 68 yards.
He's got to be an every week star.
he's a
for
must
you, and
start
He has to
every
now.
week.
He has been since the end of the season. A lot of times when we buy into these guys who went off down the stretch at the end of the year, it doesn't usually come to fruition the next year. Like, look at Devin Singletary. He stinks so
Stinks.
far. Like, he's the guy who took over
He's
down
just
the
never
stretch
been
last year.
good.
Yeah. And Amon-Ra St. Brown has been on fire since the end of last year. I don't think he's had a game with less than 8 catches since the middle of last year. He's had he's had a touchdown in what, like 8 games in a row?
Yeah.
Now he's
Yeah.
about to break a record.
He's I think he's had like 7 or 8 straight games with 8 catches.
Like,
Only like Antonio Brown and Mike Thomas.
this
have
guy
done
was
that.
like a 4th round draft pick.
and
too.
he's looking like one of the best receivers.
Is he the new Antonio Brown?
Let's not go.
6th round draft pick, went off, became one of the best.
I mean, even though
receivers in
he's
the
going
league.
off and he's playing lights out, let's see him do it. Let's see him finish as the wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
he
then
would have
do
to
that-
finish as the wide receiver.
Let's see him
1.
do that first, and then let's see him do that for a stretch of
I'm not
2-3
saying
years.
he is
I think it was
AB.
more than that. I think it was like 5 years.
at least 2-3 years before you can say it.
I'm not saying he is AB. I'm just saying
He
like
could be.
smaller receiver, really good route runner, late round
Great
draft
hands.
pick, great hands.
Just athletic. Got that dog in him.
Right now, Amon-Ra is the wide receiver 4.
And
So-
he was going late in drafts. 'Cause
Yeah.
People were afraid of Swift
The
and
weapons coming
Hawkinson.
back. Hawkinson's a non-factor.
Yeah, fuck it.
To
Just,
be honest,
you
Like,
start him and hope that
That's
he
why I'm happy I
scores.
picked up Pat Fairmouth.
Yeah.
in my
Yeah,
one league.
like-
Even though I had TJ Hawkinson,
It's clear Hawkinson, who is a good tight end when it comes to we're talking about real football here, not fan.
He's a
We're
good
taking fantasy
blocker.
out of the equation. He's a good player, TJ Hawkinson, but in terms of fantasy value,
Doesn't do anything for
it's
you.
clear he is not at the forefront of the offensive game plan for the Lions. It's DeAndre Swift and it's St. Brown. Honestly, Jared Goff looks good too. Like,
It's not like he's old or anything. Like he's still young.
I think he's fine, Jared Goff. I think he gets too much hate too. Like, I think
he's won playoff games. He's been
He's
on
been-
winning
he's
teams.
been in the
He's
Super
been
Bowl.
to the Pro Bowl. Like,
yeah.
I mean, people completely write him off as like
yeah.
utter garbage, and he's honestly better than you could probably name 12 quarterbacks he's better than.
We've
I think.
seen Jared Goff put up good numbers when surrounded by good talent before. Look at
Right.
the Rams when they had Todd Gurley. And, when you surround him with a good player, and Brandon Cooks,
Yep.
like when you put good players around him, he succeeds, Jared Goff. Like, to be honest, I think he's a good streaming quarterback right now to pick him up.
Because Lions will be, their defense still isn't good, so they will be losing or have to keep up with other offenses.
I don't know, though. The Lions look good.
They do look good.
Their offense looks elite.
The
to be
team overall
honest.
looks
Like,
good. The defense is not elite. The offense looks.
No.
I think the offense looks elite too.
Well, the defense, they really only have
The
like
defense
3
looks
pieces.
better, though, to be honest. Like, they got soft a little bit this week against the Commanders. Towards the end of the game, they started to come back a little bit, but they still held on and won. Like, I think the Lions are going to be a good team. I think they'll be better than fucking Minnesota. I think Minnesota's defense is going to hold them back.
They'll probably win
be honest.
7 to 8 games. I think they can, and they'll probably be a team at the end where they could make it if like they win like the next 2 or like a couple other teams. Like they'll probably be one of those teams that need like 10 things to happen for them to make it, but they're like still in the mix at the end.
Let's also
Makes them
see
interesting,
Green
you know.
Bay not play Chicago, too. Maybe Green Bay isn't the same team. Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers owns Chicago. We knew they were going to win that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
you
just...
didn't even have to think
But,
about that one.
Let's see I don't know their upcoming schedule. I'm about to look at it, but
Also-
we have to see, what keeps happening throughout the season because they really look bad against Minnesota. Maybe it's week 1 rust. Who knows? This week's going to be a test. They play Tampa Bay. The game is into the Bucs defense looks elite this year. Tom Brady
does.
has not looked good so far.
The Bucs
Not been
defense
great.
has allowed 1 touchdown and has also scored 1 touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're 2
they've been
games.
great this year. They completely erased CeeDee Lamb out of the game. But CeeDee Lamb was encouraging this week. So we talked about this as well earlier. He had 11 targets, which is great. And he ended up having 7 catches for 70-something yards this week, 14 points. It's not the best game, but I think people who were panicking week 1 can sleep a little easier because, he didn't go off or anything, but he still gave you a good game, and it's encouraging. With Cooper Rush,
Yeah.
too. So, it's encouraging.
That was very encouraging because I'm a CeeDee Lamb owner, and I was worried for sure. And I'm going to hold on to him and hope for the best. I think everybody should hold on to him. I don't think you're going to see a top 5 season out of him. He could sneak in towards the end of the top 10, top 12 range with Cooper Kupp. I mean Cooper Rush, sorry. If he's going to be getting 11 targets a game,
Yeah.
that's just going to turn into production. You don't even have to break off long touchdowns for that to even pay off. If he just consistently builds on the volume he's getting, and there's nobody else there to catch passes. Noah Brown, Michael Gallup still isn't back.
And Michael
Cooper's
Gallup might be back soon, but I think Michael Gallup coming back is going to help CeeDee Lamb. Michael
think
Gallup has been honestly pretty good when
I
he's
think
played.
that will help him.
Yeah.
I think it's going to help CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, at the end of the day, he hasn't blown up so far like we've wanted him to. But he's not really. But the Cowboys have a lot of guys out right now. They have a lot of injuries. They have injuries on the offensive line. Dak is out. Michael Gallup is out right now. I think the Cowboys will come around, to be honest. They're still the Cowboys at the end of the day. They're going to be disappointing in some areas, but I think once they get some guys back, I think it's going to help CeeDee Lamb. I wouldn't sell CeeDee Lamb. I wouldn't let somebody try to rip you off for CeeDee Lamb.
Don't sell him for a bag of chips.
Yeah,
if you're going to sell him, if you're still worried about him or not sold on him, don't sell low. I'll say this right now. Trades that involve 2 or 3 okay players for a really good or elite player never work out. They never work out just because you get multiple guys because you're lacking in other positions on your team doesn't make your team better.
Yep.
No, you don't get better. I've been on both sides of this trade before. You propel somebody's team into the playoffs. Tim won the championship because of that. Somebody's selling an elite player for several mid players
because they were losing.
Right.
They weren't sticking with their team. They weren't confident, so they panicked and they traded their best player, who was
Davante Adams.
Who already had Stephon Diggs.
It was for what?
The trade was because that person wanted Stephon Diggs, but I said there's no shot. That's
Cooper
when
Kupp.
I thought it was Cooper Kupp, AJ Brown, and
James
Robinson for Davante Adams and DeAndre Swift. And then that was the trade.
Now, DeAndre Swift was banged up that year.
That was
AJ Brown was banged up that year.
This was pre-Cooper Kupp.
This was the year.
That was Cooper Kupp's bad year. Because I remember
he had 40-something receptions, and then the next year he had 90, and then the year after was last year.
Cooper Kupp it was the year Cooper Kupp still had 90 catches, but he had 3 touchdowns the whole year.
Yes.
This was
This was
2020?
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
No, because I remember I had Cooper Kupp on my team, and I traded him. I made a trade with Tim very early in the year.
Yes.
With Cooper Kupp.
I traded him, Josh Jacobs, and somebody else.
I was so dumb.
And I got James Robinson because James Robinson was being shaky that year.
That was his breakout year, though. He was the waiver
this was
pickup.
The year after. Oh no, you're right.
That was the year James Robinson was the waiver darling.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
the guy you blew all your money on.
And then when I had him, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna see if I can somehow get Davante Adams. I managed to get Davante Adams.
And Tim won the championship.
And I won the championship off of 3 guys.
So and it's think about it. And it's look at the person's team you're trading with, too, because the guy who traded with Tim, Tim already had Patrick Mahomes
Stephon
and
Diggs.
Stephon Diggs, and that was the year Stephon Diggs went the fuck, like he went fucking crazy. That was the first year with Josh Allen.
I think he
Like,
was the number 1 or 2 receiver.
He had like 1,500 yards.
I had the
that
1
year.
and 2 receiver
Yeah.
that year. I literally had 1 and 2.
I don't know
Like,
if
you're
it was
gonna win the
Adams or
championship.
Diggs.
Adams was number 1 because that was the year when Devontae Adams had like 130 something receptions for like 1,500 yards and like 12 touchdowns, and then Diggs was second.
I'll never forget watching those games.
Yeah,
Dude,
Mark lost
I
the
really
championship.
thought it was
I was
done
the one
because it
who
was
lost.
a snow game in Green Bay. I was like, oh, Adams ain't getting me shit. I'm down by 90. There's no way Diggs and Mahomes combined for like 100 points. It didn't matter. Nope.
Nope.
Stephon Diggs 45, Devontae Adams 48.
People were telling me, congratulations, you won. I said, dude, Tim still has his best players left, who were Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams was playing on Sunday night, and Diggs was playing on Monday night. I will never forget the game Monday night, the Bills against the Patriots.
Diggs had 3
Watching
touchdowns.
that, I will
They both
never,
had 3 touchdowns.
I
Both
have
receivers had over 10 receptions,
is-
over 120 yards, and 3
It's
touchdowns.
ingrained in my memory forever. I remember exactly what I was doing, where I was. Dude, I swear on my life, every single pass Josh Allen threw that game was to Stephon Diggs. Like every throw, complete Stephon Diggs. Throw, give it. I knew I lost when, I can't remember who it was, but somebody scored a touchdown for the Bills.
I think it was Cole Beasley
and
that
it got
called back.
for a flag. And the next play, Josh Allen guns it, throws a Stephon Diggs touchdown. I was like, I'm gonna lose. Tim's gonna come back, and he did. They both combined for 90 points. I lost. I never let the guy live it down who traded with Tim, either. Tim won fair and square. The guy who traded with him, I never let him. I never let him live that down.
The one year I traded with Tiny, I remember I traded. I think it was Derrick Henry. It was like in 2019. I traded him for Travis Kelce. I already had Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook. And my team was fucking loaded. So the only thing I was lacking was tight end. My team was so good that I had good players to trade. So I got that level of a player, but that still propelled my team to beyond heights. Like I went back to back that year. But that's the moral of the story is like you do have to look at the other person's team and see what they have and see how much you're improving their team. And how much your team is actually improving.
And stop trading Travis Kelce.
Yeah, like
I
why
don't
do
know
people do that?
Like I always see Kelce in trade offers. Like Kelce is so consistent.
He's just gonna do what he does.
You know what he's gonna do. Like you're making somebody else's team better every time if you're giving them Travis Kelce because he's head and shoulders the best tight end, without a doubt.
Speaking of tight ends, Kyle Pitts.
Are we worried yet?
I'm worried.
Yeah, I'm worried about a few more players than just him.
I'm not worried about Kyle Pitts. I'm worried about the Falcons and just the state they're in general. And I'm worried about what Arthur Smith said. Because it's clear this guy... Look, I'm not going to act like I'm some expert. I'm far from it. Like, we're some 3 fucking cook dudes talking about football in somebody's, studio. But... you're not going to involve your best player on offense. Like, you're going to target him 4 times. What? He's at 4 targets in both of these games so far? You're going to target him 8 times in fucking 2 weeks? Your best player. I'm fucking looking it up now. All right, 10 targets he has through 2 weeks. Kyle Pitts. He's your best player on offense. Drake London has looked very good so far.
He has. He's been a steal in drafts.
He's been a steal in drafts. And Mariota is serviceable. He's not great. He's serviceable. I think it's fair to say the Falcons are not well coached. It's clear. How can you say it's not fantasy football? We're trying to win. Dude, you're 0-2.
Like, who are you passing the ball to?
You haven't. Maybe if you involve Kyle Pitts more, you wouldn't be 0-2. It's not rocket science.
You can't scheme him open. You can't scheme plays to get him the ball.
At that point, why draft Kyle Pitts with the 4th fucking pick in the draft?
Yeah,
just sign some tight end off the street who can block well,
Smith,
and who can run routes a little bit.
Smith was the coach for that year, so he was behind that. So did you really draft him with the 4th pick to be a fucking blocker?
To just be like a role player?
No, you drafted him to be a generational tight end.
Line up on the outside.
And just set fucking record after record. And he did, to be fair, he did set records last year, but
yeah,
you're 0-2. You're not playing very good football. So why not just give it to your best players? Like if I just was a coach for one game, not knowing anything, like the simple thing to do is just give it to your best players. It usually works out.
Yeah, I mean, even the Panthers, maybe if they gave McCaffrey even those extra 4, 5, 6 touches, maybe they win the game.
Maybe,
Yep.
yeah. Maybe
One of those touches can be a 40-yard touchdown.
Exactly.
they could be more in field goal range to get more points, even getting on the goal line to be able to score,
Well,
anything like that.
I think Matt Rule will be fired by even the middle of the year.
I don't think he
maybe
makes it past
November. Probably, yeah. I don't, especially if it keeps going the way it is.
Frank Reich.
Yeah, I think
What is the Colts?
I don't think he might make it. He might not make it to the end of the year either.
If they start out like
0-4, 0-5.
I would say 0-6, because they were 1-5 one year and did make the playoffs. So I think that he'll have that chance to come back. But if they end up
Nope.
like 2-7, like where it looks really dire and like nothing's getting better, they might let him go.
So the Bills' upcoming, or I'm sorry, the Colts' upcoming schedule, they play Kansas City this week.
Loss.
Yeah, they play Tennessee after that. That can go either way. Tennessee doesn't look good. They're at Denver. That's always a tough matchup. Denver looks bad, but their defense at home, it's always a tough game. Jacksonville, they can't beat. They play in week 6. Is it reasonable to say the Colts can start out 1-5?
I think it is reasonable.
It's possible. And if they start out 1-5, does Frank Reich get fired? Maybe, probably at this point. I mean, Matt Ryan was supposed to be an upgrade over Wentz. Meanwhile, Wentz actually looks decent for the Commanders.
Now, speaking of Wentz, I'll give you a list of quarterbacks and you tell me quarterbacks that he's ahead of in rankings right now, but
Okay.
tell me if you would take Wentz or
Are we talking fantasy-wise or in general?
fantasy.
Okay.
So Carson Wentz or Kyler Murray.
I'm still taking Kyler Murray because of the rushing ability, the rushing
I would say
upside.
Murray.
Carson Wentz or Jared Goff.
Wentz.
I think Jared Goff is safer. Wentz turns the ball over a lot. Goff's upside maybe is a little lower. I think Goff, his absolute best game for you is going to be 30 points.
Are we talking about this year as in so far, or are we talking just
Yes,
in general
fantasy
this year,
fantasy-wise?
This year in fantasy,
This year in
right
fantasy?
now, yeah, this
right
week,
now.
if you're
thinking
then
about
so
somebody to
far,
pick
then
up.
I'm taking Wentz over Murray, and I'm taking Wentz over
I would
Goff
have to
so
look
far.
at the schedule and see who each team.
Well, I know
what
the
matchup
Commanders
looks like.
play the Boyds next week.
Detroit
so
plays Minnesota, who
Wentz.
doesn't look good. So
No, actually, Wentz plays Philly.
I mean,
Mm.
yeah. So
he is home for that though.
I would
True.
probably go
They
Goff
fucked that
this
up on the
week.
schedule.
I'd probably go Goff this week over Wentz.
Carson Wentz or Matt Stafford.
I would still say Matt Stafford. I know he hasn't really looked great so far, but I believe in Sean McVay. I believe in the Rams. Their offense is still legit. They have Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson, 2 decent running backs. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm going to say Stafford.
I think you got to stick with Matt Stafford. I mean, right now, if you're really desperate, you could drop him and pick up another quarterback. But I mean, especially for this week, Carson Wentz playing the Eagles is going to be a tough matchup for him.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, they're probably on your waiver wire.
Yeah.
You're gonna end up having to stream them some weeks. I think I would play Wentz over Stafford just for the fact I think Washington will be losing way more, and I think Wentz is just gonna
Just sling it.
yeah
Yeah.
sling that rock. And let's do one more: Carson Wentz or Joe Burrow.
I was hoping you were going to say that because that's going to lead me into something else after this.
Okay.
This year, personally, I think if Wentz is out there, you have to go with Wentz. I'm a huge Joe Burrow advocate. I love Joe Burrow. I have him in a lot of my leagues. He's my quarterback. Something's not right. He doesn't look like him.
Now,
He
I will
just doesn't.
say the Bengals play the Jets this week.
Jets beat the Browns.
They did, but they still gave up 30 points
Jets defense.
on
well,
defense.
see, I don't know. It's hard because it's if we're going off of fantasy this year, I feel like you have to go Wentz. even though they're playing the Eagles. He's had back-to-back 30-point games.
I'm going Burrow against the Jets all day over Wentz versus
What do you
Eagles.
think, like for the next month, you say?
Month?
For next month.
Let's see.
Next
I
4
gotta
games.
look at the...
Well, Joe Burrow
schedule real quick.
plays. Pull up Carson Wentz's schedule because I got Joe.
You got Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow plays the next 4 weeks. You said you want to go?
Yeah.
He plays the Jets this week, Miami, Baltimore, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Now, Miami, I can see being an ugly, scrappy game, but at the same time, Miami was just at an 80-point shootout with Baltimore.
I'm definitely going to go Wentz then because Wentz, besides this week, because this will be a tough matchup, he plays the Eagles this week, Dallas the week after, Tennessee, Chicago, then Green Bay.
See, and it's like, those are some good matchups, but I don't think it's worth, like, for example, like if you're considering dropping Joe Burrow for Carson Wentz, I personally wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say drop Joe Burrow, but
Yeah,
like if you have enough space, like if your bench is like big enough to where you can have multiple guys, I would definitely pick up Wentz and then consider.
If you're not confident and you want to
Yeah.
see if Burrow can get out of his rut,
Exactly.
Well, I
but
think
don't
this is
drop
the
him.
week.
don't drop him.
I think
Yeah.
this is the week for that, to be honest. I mean, it's the Jets.
Well, I would
Just
certainly
in a
hope so.
shootout with the
to
Browns.
play Burrow.
You know, yeah,
I would
think
hope so
he's
because
gonna.
I feel like this is the week where he kind of has to do it because if
To
he
get
can't
right.
do it against the Jets, then it's definitely going to be
The
We're gonna
alarm,
panic
enter.
mode.
the alarms will be going off.
We're gonna enter. Is he a fraud? It's a look. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's a fraud. I don't think you do what he did in the playoffs by accident.
A lot
Maybe
of
you
teams,
can,
a lot of
but-
teams when they go to the Super Bowl and a lot of teams actually miss playoffs the year after. It happens.
Super Bowl hangover.
Super Bowl hangover. It happens. So I don't think it's anything to worry about. But in long term, like for dynasty, God no, just keep Joe Burrow. Like don't
Yeah,
even.
I mean-
that's not even a question.
I think Jamar Chase is gonna be
We
fine.
draft leagues though. It's if he can't get it done against the Jets.
I think if you took Jamar Chase with your first pick, I think he's gonna be fine. You know, I
he
mean,
still had double digits.
still had
Like,
double-digit points this week. He
It's
had
not what you really want, but
he had over 30 last week. T. Higgins had a good game this week. This week was a good T. Higgins game.
It was.
So, you know, it's going to be like that. You said it was a 1A, 1B thing. That's clearly how it is there. So, there's going to be games where Jamar Chase doesn't have 40 because T. Higgins does well. There's usually not a lot of passes being thrown.
yeah.
Well, enough passes for them both to have 20 targets like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle just did. You know, like that's going to be hard to replicate for them to both do that well in the same game.
Yep. I believe so. You guys want to get into pickups for this week before
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do some
Um,
close out today?
some waiver wire guys. If Tua is on waivers in your league, I would
Now-
grab him.
Are you dropping any of your quarterbacks for Tua? Like, let's say you have Aaron Rodgers. You dropping Aaron Rodgers for Tua?
Probably not because Tua plays Buffalo this week.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
I actually like Tua against Buffalo.
Really.
They are home.
I think it could be a high-scoring game.
Miami is home.
They are home. They're coming off a 42-point, scoring outing against the Ravens.
Their defense will create turnovers. Dude,
Bills?
No,
Or-
Miami. They
They
didn't do
will.
it against Baltimore, but
I think it could be a
It's
really
like-
fun game.
I think it's possible. You're right. I think Miami could be a fun team this year, to where when you see them, you're like, oh shit, maybe a shootout. Like when you see the Chargers, you see the Chiefs
Right.
Yeah.
on the schedule. You see the fucking Bills. Even if it's a good, like if the Bills are playing against a good team, the shootout potential is insane. But the Bills' defense has looked insane this year. So who knows? Maybe we need to see. We need to see it again.
We do need
from
to see
Tua.
more.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
It's
test
still
game
early.
for Tua.
So, how much of your fab are you guys going to be throwing down on Garrett Wilson, or would you throw down on Garrett Wilson? Let's say your receivers aren't really panning out and you need that hot stud off the wire. How much you fucking dishing out?
I mean, it depends on how much money you have in your league. I would maybe 15%. Maybe. I mean, because the targets are encouraging. 21 targets through 2 games.
I think I would put, depending on need, 50%.
50 would be a lot for me just because he is a rookie still. It is the Jets.
It is the Jets. I do like the potential of, well, it is a bad team. They're going to be down. They're going to have to throw. He's getting this amount of volume, churning out like a Odell Beckham season, Justin Jefferson season.
No, I don't know though. I feel like with Joe Flacco,
Who do you think has a better chance of doing that?
rookie wise,
Garrett Wilson or Drake London?
I think Drake London does.
Drake London.
Just
I think so,
because
too.
we've personally already seen like Drake London's looked good in both games so far.
I do like him a lot.
Garrett Wilson, his first game, 9 points. This week he went off, but he had 2 touchdowns. He did have 14 targets, so at 8 catches, which is great. But Elijah Moore hasn't done much this year. And we've seen Elijah Moore get it done before.
Yeah.
I feel like something's got to give for him. My fantasy MVP take is aging like milk right now, but it's okay. Maybe
Still
he's
a lot
not
of
a fantasy
season left.
MVP. There's still a lot of season left, but I feel like something's got to give. Like I feel like he's going to start getting open or start getting thrown to more. Maybe Zach Wilson comes back. It's good for him. It seems like Garrett Wilson seems to have a good connection with Joe Flacco. Who knows? Maybe they get Zach Wilson back. It's good. I think Elijah Moore is going to be better. I don't think this is his ceiling. We've seen his ceiling before. Yep. I just don't feel comfortable putting 50% on Garrett Wilson.
I just personally like the idea of you could get it because $5. It's not like it's real money.
No,
I feel like early in the season you want to take your shots on guys, especially young guys
Who
that have
could
the
break
juice,
out.
who could have that opportunity and break out into league winners. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown last year. If you burn some waiver, if you burn some fab on him,
Yep.
You probably got carried to the playoffs at the end of the year. Maybe won the championship. I know
He was on a lot of championship teams.
he helped me win a championship, that's for sure, because I went out and put money on him. So it depends on your need. It depends on what your belief is. I believe Garrett Wilson. I think the volume's real. I think the Jets will be losing. They're going to have to throw, and he's going to be their best receiver.
Now, It is a passing league. Now, so maybe we're just going to see more stud rookie wide receivers now.
That seems to be the trend. They trade their veterans to other teams that want to win now, and then they draft rookies.
Yeah.
And they end up breaking out, and it's just an endless crop of receivers. Now, to move on to another receiver, though, I want to talk about, what do we feel about Sterling Shepard? Because through 2 games, he's got 14 targets, and seems to be Daniel Jones's number 1 target. Now, I know it's Daniel Jones, but volume is a factor. He had 10 targets last game, and he caught that bomb in week 1.
He's just so injury prone to where
I'm not saying like burn anything on him, but like maybe just throw $1 on him.
Yeah, maybe if you
Could
can
be
get
a
him
bench
for nothing.
piece, a spot start in your flex if you lost any players this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I maybe if you can just pick him up for nothing, sure.
If you're a Michael Pittman owner and you're looking thin at wide receiver and you're worried he might not play, maybe throw a dart at Sterling Shepard and pick him up because volume's there.
10 targets this week.
10 targets this week.
Yeah,
it's not sexy, but the waiver wire usually isn't sexy.
And if you're in a competitive league, it's thin.
It's
normally.
When you get to the nitty gritty of it, you got to pick up these guys to help you and win.
And like if you can grab Sterling Shepard in a like in the 14 team league, for example, for like $1, I would do it. Giants receiver, like you said, not sexy
Not sexy
at all. Jacoby Myers is interesting. 6 targets week 1, 13 targets this week, 9 catches. He's not sexy at all. He doesn't score touchdowns, but I feel like he gives you a nice floor
in
for
PPR
flex.
leagues. Yeah.
So I kind of like grabbing him.
His teammate Nelson Agholor, he had a good week.
He did
I'm
as
staying
well.
away from that.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I feel like that might be a trap. Nelson Agholor does this. He has really good weeks like this sometimes, and then he doesn't really do anything the next week.
Yeah, I wouldn't advocate starting Nelson Agholor anywhere.
I would rather pick up Jacoby Myers than Nelson Agholor.
Yeah. Running back seems pretty fucking thin. Jerick McKinnon, whatever.
Maybe if somebody dies.
Maybe throw a couple dollars on him.
I mean, I have him in our 14-man league basically as the hope of someone dies. So
Jordan Mason now. Tyrion Davis-Price.
He got hurt.
He got hurt with a ankle sprain, and he's out for a few weeks.
Yeah, yet again.
So it's just
bullshit
Jeff
works
Wilson.
out for fucking Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff
Of course
Wilson.
it does.
So Jordan Mason is an injury away from being
the guy.
I hate the 49ers.
Yeah, but
in fantasy.
There is opportunity there. Jimmy G's back, so there could be more running.
I think
they were planning on being a running team anyway.
I think Jimmy G coming back is going to be really good for Debo.
I think so too. I thought Debo was going to have a worse season with Trey Lance, but now that Trey Lance, get well soon, buddy. He's out for the season now with ankle surgery. Poor guy.
It kind of is a shame.
Did you guys see though how the team was acting with Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, it looks like Nick Foles and Carson Wentz.
Like it looks like the team wanted Garoppolo to be the quarterback.
What is up with North Dakota State quarterbacks?
Like I don't,
because they're in a small school and they're super athletic and they're the best player on the field in their conference, and then they get drafted high and they get handed the keys and not even earning it.
Yep.
Not even like they just get handed the keys because they're a high draft choice and they feel entitled.
Do you think it's worth it? Excuse me. Do you think it's worth it to pick up any of the Cardinals running backs?
I would pick up, Benjamin just because he's young and has the juice. Darrell Williams, I don't give a fuck about. I really don't. If you want to pick him up, if you're desperate, sure, but I really don't fucking care.
Tyler Algier, I'm staying away from him. Running back on a bad team.
Just looks hideous.
Who doesn't catch passes.
3 a carry.
Yeah, I'm not really going after him. Brandon Bolden had a good week 1. He didn't play this week. I'm staying away from that.
Zach Moss,
staying away from that. Kenneth Gainwell, I'm staying away from too at this point. The Eagles just use too many running backs. Jalen Hurts runs.
Miles Sanders is a buy low candidate.
Miles Sanders is getting the bulk of the touches.
He's just not really like popping off. And I feel like he's going to continue to get these touches, and I think something's going to give. He's going to be scoring touchdowns.
Jalen Hurts is the best runner on the team.
He is.
But
he's not going to score a rushing touchdown or 2 of them every single game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, like, as good as he is, that just doesn't happen.
No.
At least over a season. So, like, if you could flip, like, a waiver wire pickup and somehow get Miles Sanders as a RB2, because let's be real, RB2s fucking stink.
A lot of them
stink. Like, even going, like, top heavy with running back. Like, most of the time, the running backs you got in the second round, like, they're not really panning out.
I mean, like, if you took Fournette, you had a good week 1, a bad week 2.
Like, just going to be inconsistent.
But
You're not going to get.
Did get a lot of volume, which is encouraging.
I just, like, the era of running backs are just dying right in front of our eyes. It makes me sad. Like, because we grew up with Matt Forte and Jamal Charles, Adrian Peterson, Le'Veon Bell. Who else?
I even remember like
Todd Gurley,
Sean Alexander and LT too. Even those guys, like,
such a shame.
It's kind of sad to see the position dying.
At least it's not dying.
Not
but
dead.
The bell cow running back is just.
There's not many bell cows anymore.
Like a lot of people have Zeke Elliott as their running back too, and he just stinks. Like, he doesn't have the juice anymore.
The explosiveness is no longer there.
James Conner as your running back too. He's injury prone. He's hurt again.
And you kind of had to see that coming.
Alvin Kamara, people got him as an RB2 thinking he was a steal, and he has a rib cartilage problem.
And even when he played, he was barely getting the ball, which seems to be an issue with the Saints. I honestly, it was all last year too.
So I really feel like your RB2, in order for you to have a successful RB2, you had to draft – like a guy like Joe Mixon, Barkley, probably
Swift.
like
if you went
Chubb.
running back in the first round,
Yeah.
Swift.
Other than that, it's really
yeah.
fucking thin. So if you could
you know,
package a trade and get guys like Miles Sanders, maybe Javonte Williams, if guys are really low on him, I would go for those guys. Gibson and Montgomery, I'm not buying their production right now. I think Brian Robinson will come back and overtake Antonio Gibson.
I would finish what you were going to say.
No, I just think
done.
David Montgomery, that's what you saw the other night.
I think that's his best game all
It's
year.
the best game all year.
I would honestly consider selling David Montgomery if you are running. If you have
Sell
a
high.
good, if you have a really good first running back. Say your first running back is, I don't know, Aaron Jones or Swift. You have even Barkley.
Let's say you have Swift and
have-
Barkley, and you have
even
Montgomery
Javonte
as well.
Williams. Yeah, and you have Montgomery. Like,
Maybe
I
flip
would-
Montgomery for another.
see what you can get.
See what you can get.
I'm not saying just completely sell him because he honestly is a bell cow.
Right.
But
He's fine as an RB2, but like
Like-
it's just so not sexy.
it's not. But I would test the waters with it. See what you can get. Tight end. There's a couple good tight end candidates. I think actually.
Gerald Everett should be, if he's out there, I think he should be the number one
Gerald
tight
Everett.
end pickup.
To be honest, too, Tyler Higbee had another high target game. I know he's so ugly.
I just don't
so
believe it.
Not sexy, but like 11 targets week 1, 9 targets this week, 7 catches this week, 5 in week 1.
I mean, I
In
guess,
terms of a
but
tight end,
I fucking just don't believe it though.
I know, but it's just, it's ugly. But so far, you know,
I mean, if you're that
it's there.
desperate,
If you really
it's
need,
there.
Yeah.
if you drafted Kittle, you know,
yeah,
I
or
mean,
Cole Kmet
or
late,
Dalton Schultz,
like
Yeah.
this clown, Cole Kmet.
oh Cole Kmet,
Two
yeah.
we're not gonna talk
glazed
about that.
donuts back to
If you
back.
drafted Cole Kmet, dude,
We're
you're
not gonna talk
so
about that.
disappointed.
Jesus fucking
We like
Christ.
Cole Kmet too.
Here's another name that's honestly disgusting, but he's been producing. Tyler Conklin.
I
On the
know.
Jets that will be losing. So like
double-digit points in both weeks.
this is the thing. Like and this is another thing. Tight end position is also dying.
It's
I
not
miss the
as
days.
star-studded.
When you had Antonio Gates, Travis Kelce in his younger days, Rob Gronkowski, Greg
Even,
Olsen,
like,
Delaney Walker.
every team had like a solid tight end. It seemed like even Julius Thomas for like a year or two. Like there were some really good tight ends in the league. Now it seems like you got Kelce, you got Mark Andrews, yeah, Kyle Pitts who doesn't get used, and that's it.
Yep.
Darren Waller is still good, you know.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
But like yeah, like I think he'll be fine.
He's the number 3 tight end right now, but he's not blowing up your lineup.
Kittle is injury prone at this point.
Yeah, I'm off Kittle. I'm
Um,
done with him.
and it's a shame because he's elite when he plays, but if you're not playing,
It just keeps happening. So
another absolutely puke name, Hayden Hurst, as well. 8 targets week 1, 7 this week, 9.7 points. You're really desperate, like we just said.
like
may have
if
drafted
you're
Kittle.
if you just don't want a donut, you can play
right,
Hayden
like
Hurst.
you can maybe hope for something.
Other than that,
Evan Ingram, maybe.
This is the moral of the story. Tight ends fucking stink.
Yeah.
So just like I said, if Gerald Everett is out there, get him. If Pat Fryermuth is out there, get him. Take your shot on Tyler Conklin and Tyler Higbee, I guess. Other than that,
I think
good
maybe
luck.
Irv Smith could be an okay pickup.
You know,
too. He did just do pretty well against the Eagles this week, who kept
He had
Justin
8
Jefferson in
targets.
check.
so
He's still a decently young player who's dealt with some injuries to where maybe, I'm not saying he's going to break out, but like there's like a small, tiny chance he could. It's a dart throw.
it is a dart throw. I think, yeah, dart throw.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Best of luck to you. If you're looking for tight ends like that, then best of luck to you.
Best of luck to you. Ugh.
Do you guys have anybody else? I mean, the Chiefs receivers, I don't really like any of them. I
They're-
think it's Travis Kelce and then
It's
a bunch
spread
of
around.
guys with like 4 catches.
Yeah. Pretty much.
You know, like I just Don't really like anybody there. I wouldn't really put fab on anybody.
Maybe Josh Palmer, if he's out there. If Keenan Allen misses more time again, he had 8 targets and caught a touchdown. I think Josh Palmer would be a fine spot start, like in your flex.
Right.
Yeah, I would stay away from Corey Davis.
Davis, yeah.
We know what Corey Davis is. You know,
You don't have to fucking tell me that.
He'll give you a couple games like that. He only had 2 catches, but one of them was a bomb touchdown. So that's how he got most of his points this week. He did have 10 targets week 1, but I don't know. I just don't really believe in Corey Davis. I think Elijah Moore is going to step up in the coming weeks. I don't really believe in Corey Davis. AJ Green, I guess maybe he's just done. I'd maybe stay away from him as well.
So I guess, top 3 pickups for receiver, we'll go Garrett Wilson at 1.
Yeah, I would say Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers at 1?
No, I'm at 2.
At 2, and then probably Shepard at 3. I wouldn't put too much money on him if he's out there.
No, but I do like him as a little, I get what you mean. Like
at quarterback, I would go Tua first. If Wentz is out there still, pick him up. And then
I'd probably say Jared Goff.
Jared Goff at
to
3.
be honest.
Yeah.
And then at running back, number 1 for me would probably be Eno Benjamin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Jordan Mason if he's still out there.
I wouldn't put too much on Eno Benjamin.
Wouldn't put too much on either of them because they don't have the full. We don't know what the situation will be. So maybe 10, 15% of your fab. Don't go crazy because they're not going to be bell cows. They're not starting right now. It's not like James Conner's out for the season.
Right.
So they might end up being the starter this week. So if you need a spot start, go with him. Jordan Mason at number 2 for me. And then probably, I don't even want to name a third one.
They're all so bad.
They're all so
like,
bad.
you
I'm not
can't
going to name a
really-
third one. We're not even
like,
going to.
I'm not gonna name one just to name
And then
it.
for tight end, I guess Gerald Everett,
Well,
Pat Fryermuth, if they're both out there somehow. And if they're not, I would probably go Conklin or Higbee first.
honestly, for me, my number 1 pickup will be Tyler Higbee right now.
I would go Tyler Conklin. I would go probably Hurst second. And then
Mine
Irv
would be
Smith.
Higbee, Conklin, and Irv Smith would be the 3 I would consider picking up.
if those are your options.
If those are your
and
options.
if Everett or Fryermuth are out there, do whatever you can to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
Fryermuth's
I
gonna
agree
get
with
targeted.
those. I agree with the options.
Fryermuth has definitely been a late round steal for you so
Yes.
far if you drafted him. Tight end 6. He's getting peppered with targets through 17 targets through 2 games, double-digit points both times. You'll take that from your tight end.
Lock and load it.
Maybe he breaks out if Kenny Pickett plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all for today, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We are heading into week 3 now. Hopefully everybody stays calm, doesn't panic too much.
Don't blow up your team.
Don't blow up your team. Don't overreact completely. We still have 12 more weeks. 12 more weeks to go until the playoffs. So stay afloat, tread lightly. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow at the Fantasy Buzz Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. Do whatever the fuck you want. And hopefully we all end up 1-0 this week. And
Wow, I'm 2-0 actually.
well, from week to week, asshole. We get it. He's 2-0. He's 2-0, everybody.
It doesn't happen a lot for him. Let him have
Yeah.
this.
I'll let you have it.
Let me have this one.
That is all for today. We are out.
See you guys next week.
Peace out.
See you.